Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Lucas.
and we are two aspiring filmmakers making unnecessary commentary on famous movies.
Each week, we will randomly select a film to analyze, discuss, and review.
We will select the film at the end of each podcast, so you will have ample time to watch the movie before the next episode.
We are slightly qualified film students. Hello!
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back, slightly qualified
to
film
another
students.
episode.
This is
this
our
week,
28th
Drive.
film, Drive from 2011. One of my all-time favorite films. My third
Yeah, it's a
favorite
good
film of
one.
all time. And,
It's in my top 25.
top 25.
Ryan Gosling, early in his career, he was still sexy. I mean, he still is today, I guess. Carey Mulligan. Honestly, the cast is pretty amazing.
Yep, Bryan Cranston, Albert Brooks,
retrospectively.
Oscar Isaac, Christina
Ron
Hendricks,
Perlman.
Ron Perlman. Got a solid cast here. And yeah, I mean, I have a soft spot for this movie. It is one that I just love so much for every single
Yeah.
aspect of it. But
It's cool.
Let's get a plot summary here.
Sure, well, we'll start off. Plot summary in case you haven't seen it. I don't think it's on Netflix. I don't think so, at least. A stuntman and getaway driver falls in love with Irene, who is married to a criminal. In a bid to protect her from her husband and some gangsters, he decides to cross over to the other side of the law. That's a bit misleading, I feel like.
Not quite
'Cause
what
he's-
the film is about.
He's already on the other side of the law.
He's already a getaway driver.
So,
Yeah, and Irene's
Yeah.
husband, Oscar Isaac, he's not like that bad of a guy. He's a pretty nice guy, you know. He owes some money to some gangsters, and Ryan Gosling
Yeah,
is
it-
I will help you get your money so your wife and child don't get shot. So that's kind of what happens.
I think that really you got this lonely guy, Ryan Gosling. He's a getaway driver, but you know he doesn't have any friends really. He's a very lonely person. He meets this he really likes Carey Mulligan's character, even if it's not necessarily in a romantic way. They're kind of awkward around each other for most of the film, but he definitely has a very special bond with her kid. So really he just is trying to protect them from this very complicated string of gangsters.
Yes.
You know, starting with like some small time guy like Oscar Isaac, working up to basically the Godfather, you know, on the East Coast, who's never actually makes an appearance, but their presence is felt. To Albert Brooks, who is just phenomenal, by the way, in this film. He's really good in Taxi Driver. He's good here too.
He's also great as Nemo's dad in Finding Nemo, you know?
Yeah,
Great-
he's a
great-
legendary actor. I love
work.
Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
He's just he's conflicting in this film.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. He's got like almost like a funnier side, but also a very dark side.
Yeah.
And you know, I think in this film also you can't really trust anybody from Ryan Gosling's perspective, which is interesting too.
Yeah. And this is a
He
film...
doesn't really form.
Yeah. This is a film that a lot of people don't like. It is an art
Really?
house film. Yeah, dude, a lot of people don't like this film. It's an art house film.
93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's critic reviews. Audience scores are pretty low. It's
True.
It's an art house film. It's you know, it's not what people wanted this film to be, at least audiences. I think a lot of people go into this film thinking it's going to be Fast and Furious or, you know, something more along the lines of what we saw
Yeah.
later, Baby Driver. And it's not that. You only get 2 chase sequences in the entire film. And
Well, yeah.
and even though there is some brutal violence in this film, I mean, it's more about growing these characters and building up to the climax. And it's a film. It's not Fast and Furious. It's not some crazy action film.
It ain't no movie. This is a film.
This is
you
a
know?
film, and
It's a
it's
motion
beautiful.
picture.
It's emotional.
Yeah. What I would describe it as almost is like I watched it for the first time, and one of the first things I noticed is that it almost has like, I think that a lot of action movie nowadays are very over masculinized, if that's a word. You know, like they take themselves very uh, manly and testosterone field. You got like hard rock or like very intense scores and but like Drive, it opens with like this pink handwriting with this like chill wave score. And it swaps out its action sequences for like cute romance scenes. And I just think that makes it so freaking, you know, unique in this genre that is just overdone. And really, it just makes it way more emotionally attachable. It makes you way more invested in Ryan Gosling's character because they really do focus mostly on the character development rather than that downright action scenes. And there still is some amazing tense action sequences. But that's what I found personally from this film that was the most enjoyable part, is just how it's still an action movie, but at the same time it takes its time to actually build these characters, make you care about them, and it just has some beautiful cinematography too, a great score, like it's a very solid all around film, and in general just one of my favorite action movies, especially in the 2010s.
Yeah, I love this movie. Let's move on to standout scenes. What's
Okay.
your standout scene?
Well, I think I have to go with one of the action sequences here. I'm gonna say it is the pawn shop robbery scene is my favorite scene. This scene honestly shocked me when I first saw this film. I knew nothing really about it other than the fact that Lucas loved it going into it. And when Oscar Isaac dies, it was totally out of left field. Like it hits. And then I guess it's kind of two scenes then, because I'm kind of including the chase with the hotel scene, because I
Right.
think that scene is also
Yeah.
incredible. I think that car chase is epic. And then I think Ryan Gosling, his first thoughts after that isn't about his own safety. It's literally about Irene and her child. So it's a very cool scene, very emotional, very intense, and definitely a turning point in the film that totally comes out of left field on your first viewing. So I think it's one of the better scenes to me.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of amazing scenes in this film. I mean, for me, it's between two. I really love like the montage drive / lake scene, with the driver Irene and her son, and they're just like driving down that like film road set with that beautiful song playing in the background, the theme song of this movie, and you just get to see the relationship grow, this entire character, who he is, what he's trying to do, why he wants to protect them, and then it all just comes crashing down after that scene. But I don't know, that scene is just emotionally impactful for me. And then the one that I also really love is the Nino killing scene, or pretty much from the point where he stalks him at his pizza place and then kills him in the lake. That entire sequence is very neo-noir kind of vibe.
It's not a lake, bro. That's the Pacific Ocean right there.
Yeah. And it's like one of the best shot sequences in this film, with the lighting and hiding the car in the darkness and the silhouettes, but it's beautiful. And I love that shot of him staring through the pizza parlor with that mask on, and the camera just like pulls into him in that window. It's amazing. Those are my standout scenes.
This is a pretty compact film. It's only about an hour and a half, hour 35.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really just a lot of great scenes all packed into it, and it's very rewatchable, I found.
Oh yeah, totally.
This time I was less focused on trying to figure out the plot, because I already knew everything that was happening, and I could just sit back and enjoy the stunning visuals, man. This film is beautiful.
I just watched
So
this film
very
on
rewatchable.
Thursday, and I already am like wanting to rewatch it. I was like debating rewatching it today before we recorded. I was like, get some extra
Hell yeah.
insight. Okay, we got some audience
Didn't
questions.
Go through with it though.
Audience questions we have. Why do you think Bernie Rose tries to kill the driver after he sees that the money is there for him? I mean, the reasoning behind that is basically the fact that Bernie and Nino have realized that they have to kill anyone who could possibly lead them back to this money. And that's kind of the whole point. That's
Yeah.
why they kill Cook in the kitchen. That's why they kill Shannon. And therefore they have to kill the driver as well, because he is the only other person that will lead back to the crime.
Yeah. So the $1 million isn't actually Nino's. It's the family, as they put it, the East Coast mobsters. So not only does he need the money, but he can't be linked, like Albert Brooks can't be linked to it at all. So even though he's promising his safety, I mean, honestly, I don't think I ever thought once that that this film was gonna end without just one person being alive, you know? Like, from the moment it turned into everybody's killing everybody, I was like, there's no way this film's not gonna end with just Ryan Gosling left, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
Not
And
in-
he's
not in a
even dying
predictable
at
way.
the end. Like, he probably
Yeah.
will die. Pretty much everyone's dead,
Yeah.
but except Irene and her son, which was like the whole point. He's trying to save them. So
that's what matters. Benicio and Irene.
yeah. Okay, next question. We got, give examples to where you think that the director does interesting things with framing and blocking that have a psychological effect on the audience.
Framing and blocking. Off the top of my head, I guess one scene that is kind of cool is the scene where Oscar Isaac he's got beat up by Nino, supposedly, or I guess not Nino, the guys who he owes money to,
Yeah.
and they're shooting like down the parking garage. So you don't even see him at first. You just see Benicio kind of half hiding behind the wall. And I don't know. There's just something about that scene that makes you feel even more for Benicio, because you're realizing, like, this kid has had to witness his dad not only get beat up, but go to jail. And also it's revealed in the dinner scene that, you know, Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan were only together a year before
Mm-hmm.
Benicio was born. So you can probably tell that this kid's been through some stuff. And him kind of hiding behind the wall is just, it's a good, I guess, representation of him and his dad's relationship. Because his dad's, you know, begging him not to tell
Yeah.
Carey Mulligan. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. There's a lot of definitely psychological elements to this film. I like the hotel scene, how they blocked that out with Ryan Gosling like behind the bathroom door as the guy like walks in with the shotgun. There's a lot of very cool blocking in that scene. And
Yeah.
I think this
Yeah,
film is
he's
actually
totally-
framed beautifully, using the rule of thirds, but also just leaving dead space for a lot of scenes, showing the night sky, showing the surroundings, and also just like how they frame the cars in the car sequences and how they kind of shoot a lot of stuff from the interior of the driver car. It's kind of like Children of Men, like that big car chase sequence. It's all from the inside, or The Place Beyond the Pines with the chase sequence also inside the cop car. I like that because it's kind of it's like that indie chase scene that you get. You don't get a lot of in big mainstream budget films, and you see that especially in the opening chase sequence where it's mostly seen from within the car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and finally we have, what is your favorite role Ryan Gosling has starred in, and why?
Jeez. Well, it's a good question. I think that my favorite performance from Ryan Gosling might be in Blue Valentine, maybe, which I just saw recently. I think that that's probably his best performance, I guess, but I think that Drive holds it down for my favorite film that he's in. I love Drive. Drive is in my top 25, and it happens to be Ryan Gosling. I don't think his performance in Drive is as good as Blue Valentine, but I definitely like Drive more than Blue Valentine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Lars and the Real Girl. I think his performance in that is
that's a
spectacular.
good
He's in this film called Half Nelson, which got him Oscar nom, where he plays like a drug addict high school teacher, and he gives a really great performance. But yeah, I think Drive, La La Land are my favorite of his actual films. Yeah, but I love Blue Valentine also. And The Place Beyond the Pines. I mean, I don't know. He chooses some really good movies to be in. I mean, not in his early career, but definitely in the last decade. He has been in a lot of really great films. You know, Blade Runner 2049 also. He's got good selection. So
he picks well.
Yeah.
He definitely picks well. Even The Nice Guys, which I saw also recently, is
very funny film.
Know. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's take a quick break, and then we will hop into the actual review. Okay, we're back into the review. Story and originality, out of 10. Let's start this off with a little story here. A big portion of this film is based off of the story of the Scorpion and the Frog, which is talked about many times in the film, also symbolized with the scorpion on his jacket. So this is what the story is about. A scorpion wants to cross a river but cannot swim, so it asks a frog to carry it across. The frog hesitates, afraid that the scorpion might sting, but the scorpion argues that if it did that, they would both drown. The frog considers this argument sensible and agrees to transport the scorpion. The frog lets the scorpion climb on its back and begins to swim. Midway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog anyways. Dooming them both, the dying frog asks the scorpion why it stung, despite knowing the consequences. To which the scorpion replies, "I couldn't help it, it's in my nature." Now, knowing that this is basically what this film, the metaphor of this whole film, it makes so much sense to me. I mean,
so
this is literally what happens.
Irene is the frog?
No, he's the scorpion. And the frog could be literally anyone, but it's also the fact that with him and Bernie, you know, they both die, they both stab each other. They're the metaphor for the scorpion. It's just this like beautiful concept of, you know, he wears the scorpion on his back because it's literally like the scorpion is on the frog's back being transported. And he says
so
to Bernie,
it's like he can't break out of his nature, I guess. Is that what the connection is? Because I thought it's based off a book, isn't it?
It is. It's loosely based off a book. But yeah, this is where that story comes in. He says in the film to Bernie right after he kills Nino, he asks him, "Have you ever heard of the story of the scorpion and the frog?" And then they go to the diner and they both kill each other. But yeah, that's the context of that. Now, story and originality, I think this film is a fantastic story for a crime thriller art house action film. It's short, it's condensed, it's simple, but it also has many layers to it, which is important. it helps for entertainment value, rewatchability, but it also isn't just about a getaway driver. It's about so much more than that. Yes, it's based loosely off a book, but I still think this film is pretty original. It's a really, really cool take on action film formats with chase sequences and all that stuff. Obviously, you know, Baby Driver has came out recently, which is basically based off of Drive. It's a very similar concept. But, you know, Drive is the original, and I love this movie. It's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Baby Driver's based off of Drive.
Dude, it follows the exact same story structure.
Yeah, I mean...
Starts with a getaway scene. He meets a girl.
To be fair,
he gets dragged
there
back
have
in.
there have been action films that involve getaway drivers, such as maybe, I don't know, The Fast and the Furious, that have existed for...
But then think about it in Baby Driver. He gets dragged back into it, and then the second thing that he has to do goes wrong, and there is another car there chasing them out of it. It's literally the same thing. Like, up until the third act of Baby Driver, it's the same.
Yeah. And I do like Drive way more than Baby Driver in almost every aspect except the soundtrack, because Baby Driver is a freaking awesome soundtrack.
Bro, dude, I love the Drive soundtrack, though.
I love it too, but come on, Baby Driver is dope. Because Baby Driver has the budget Baby Driver has the budget to license, you know, famous songs. Okay, back to story.
Drive has famous songs too, bro. Yeah, we'll get that in score. Yeah, man, I love this story.
Okay, I think that the best part about the Drive story is that it turns this, you know, when I'm first watching this, before you get into this intricate crime thriller that is the second half, the first 40 minutes of this film almost play out like a romance film. You know, it's focused not on the action at all at first, building the relationship between Carey Mulligan and Ryan Gosling, which even though they barely say anything to each other, it's, you know, it's a good relationship build in the first bit, and then it actually has some pretty cool layers to the crime thriller aspect, with, you know, showing how deep Oscar Isaac is in, how deep everybody's in, really, and how everyone kind of just has to fend for themselves. I think it's a cool story. I think it's a great crime movie. Definitely has one of the better stories of any crime movie I've seen. And it might not be the most deep necessarily, but I still think it's a killer story. Absolutely great.
Yeah. I give it 9 out of 10.
Yeah, same here. 9% out of 10.
Okay, let's move into beginning here. This is how you start a film. I mean,
yeah, great car chase
this is
right off the bat.
We haven't had an awesome beginning in a while. This is an awesome beginning.
Yeah.
Not only is it awesome, but it's so meticulous and well directed and well executed, and I love how the entire chase is very low craziness and more about building tension and suspense, like him hiding behind vehicles, being very discreet, hiding in the shadows. It's not like Fast and Furious Baby Driver opening car chase sequence where it's very flashy, lots of like cool flips on the road and like spinning around, doing all these drifts. It's about him being a smart getaway driver. It's about him maneuvering the streets at night and knowing how and what he's going to do, and then expertly getting to that arena in time for the game to finish and blend in with the rest of the crowd. It's so genius.
Yeah, I think really the only problem I have with it is the cheesy ass dialogue that starts it off, which is still awesome, but it's kind of cheesy. That's the only thing. I mean, this is. I love.
How is it cheesy? Those are his rules. Those are his rules.
I know. It's just. I think it's just cheesy to open the film with it. It's very. It's kind of. It's just fun. It's just funny to me. Like when I watched it, I was like, yeah, haha, that's cool guy. But I think that specifically for me, what I love about this beginning is the sound mixing. Like when he's driving, they got the police chatter, but also the whole time they have the radio play-by-play of the Clippers versus whoever at Staples Center. And I love that they're pacing the car chase to the basketball game. Super creative. It's not the most epic car chase of all time, but it's definitely a great way to open this film. Very intense right off the bat, keeps you entertained. Really nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah, it's like, it may not be the craziest car chase, but I think it's super intense. Like, I find it very suspenseful. Like, as he sits in the shadows and you can just see his eyes, and you watch the cop cars kind of drive past the road, scouting him out. I love the cinematography. I love the shadows. You see the lights blending onto his face, and then it just cuts to that synth soundtrack with the pink font credits. It's just, oh, dude, when I started watching this film again, I hadn't seen it in like 2 years, and I was just like, yes, this is why I love this movie so much. I give it the 6 out of 5. I've only done that with Inglourious Bastards, but I think this is one of the greatest opening scenes of all time. I think this is just such a genius opening. It's awesome.
I did not give it the 6, but I did give it 5%. Solid beginning, really great, keeps the intensity up. Full marks for me, 5%. Let's move on to the ending out of 5%. I like this ending. I think it's a great ending. I definitely shed tears the first time I saw it. Not this time around, since I saw it pretty recently, so the film was still very fresh in my mind. I'd already I knew all the major plot points, but the ending still hit pretty hard. I don't know. There's really nothing wrong with the ending at all, but I also just feel like the relationship between Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan, I feel like it needed like one more scene for me to really bawl my eyes out when he's driving away. And then she knocks on his door, and she doesn't respond. It just doesn't hit quite.
I love that they don't see each other ever again after that elevator scene.
Yeah, no, I think that it totally should end with them not seeing each other. For me, the ending doesn't hit as hard as it quite should. Like, if for this type of film, they have him he's never going to see her again. He's living his whole life.
And he calls her, and he says, "I'm going somewhere, and I don't think I'm going to be coming back."
Yeah,
he tells her that.
To me, the relationship, it was like just on the cusp of being, impactful enough to make me cry on repeat every time I see this film. But this time I was like, I didn't cry. It just didn't quite hit me in the heart as much as I wanted it to. And it might suffer from a little bit of a short runtime. I honestly wouldn't argue if this film was a little bit longer to have more scenes between Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan. But I still think that this is a great ending. I like that Albert Brooks dies. I like that none of the criminals get out of it. And the ending shot is very beautiful.
I think this is the perfect level of ambiguous for me. I like it. I love the shot where it goes up, you see his bloody stomach, and you just sit there and watch him as he stares for like a whole minute, and you totally think he's dead. Then the music comes on, and he blinks, and he drives off into the night. And yes, he's probably gonna die, but there's hope, and it's beautiful.
I don't think he dies.
Bro, he's probably gonna die. He's bleeding out. He's probably gonna die. But
I don't know. I feel like if you're in Los Angeles and if you're conscious enough to drive a car, you're conscious enough to get medical attention.
He's not gonna get medical attention though, because then he'll get in trouble.
So he's committing suicide in a way.
Yeah, but like,
fair.
I don't know. It's like so ambiguous to me, but it's just, I love this ending. I love that he just leaves the money there with the dead Albert Brooks laying there. I love that final sequence of them in the Chinese restaurant, cutting in between their conversation in the Chinese restaurant and them killing each other. It's beautifully edited. The soundtrack is amazing. And dude, I cried. I mean, I'd never cried while watching this film, and I'd seen it 3 times before, but for some reason it hit me so hard this time. I don't know why. I just, upon this watch, I felt just this new level of emotional response from this film that I'd never felt before. 5 out of 5 for the ending for me. Full marks.
I gave it the 4%. It's a high 4. I just, it for some reason, man, it didn't hit me in the feels like I thought it was gonna. It's 4%, high 4. Let's move on to screenplay / dialogue out of 8%. This is a very solid screenplay to me. Structured very well. I like that they kind of use the pawn shop robbery to switch up the vibe. You know, at first you don't have anything majorly going wrong. Boom, pretty much exactly halfway through the film, now shit has hit the fan, and we get this intense, intricate crime thriller for the rest of the film. Really, the only thing that's holding this back for me is the dialogue between Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan, which I also think is why the ending doesn't hit as hard for me. And it's this one scene in particular that kind of, I think, is not written the best. It's when Oscar Isaac gets home. I think I wrote it in my notes exactly what the dialogue is, but they're he's sitting outside his apartment to the loud music from Oscar Isaac's coming home party, and then Irene comes out. They say hi to each other, and then Irene's like, sorry about the noise, and then
he says, I was gonna call the cops.
He says, I was gonna call the cops. Complete silence. I wish you would. And then I didn't think that was that funny, but that's fine. But
it's not meant to be funny, dude. It's meant to make you cry. It's such an amazing line, dude. That freaking gives me
That's
chills.
meant to be not funny?
No, that's not meant to be funny. That's him saying, oh, he's trying to be funny, saying I was going to call the cops, but when she looks at him and says, I wish you would, that's her just in pain. Dude, she's like, she's out of it.
I thought that was her trying to be funny back.
No, that's like...
I think that... really?
Yeah.
I thought that was her trying to be funny back. I mean, see, that's where you can go wrong with the deadpan dialogue, I guess, because I did not get that out of that at all. And I don't know, it's like, I get that you're trying to make Ryan Gosling awkward guy, but to me, it just makes the relationship a tiny bit below where I want it to be in terms of me caring about it. Because really what's developed amazingly is his relationship with her son, Benicio. And then that just kind of carries over into why he cares about her. Yeah. Because this is not really a romance at all. Even though it's, portrayed as one for the first, 40 minutes. They're having happy fun times, because you have no exposition for his character or hers, really. You don't know that much about her other than what her current situation is, so you don't have that romance aspect of it, which I think is another reason why the ending isn't quite as good. But the dialogue for me is at its peak when you have Albert Brooks, Ron Perlman involved, because they're just, I look at those guys and I think of the good Scorsese days. These are great gangsters you could cast, and they totally nailed the dialogue that was written for them. So overall, solid screenplay, solid dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the dialogue that's used in this film. I think there's some really great lines through Albert Brooks' character, but also, yeah, I like the scenes between him, the driver, and Irene's son. I like their conversation about the sharks on the TV. There's a lot of just like very metaphorical dialogue in this film. I mean, yes, it is an art house film. Some people aren't gonna like that, but I like the metaphors in the dialogue. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really great screenplay. I think that there are definitely elements that aren't amazing, but I think that the biggest thing about this screenplay that really stands out to me that's different is the fact that they spend so much time actually developing the relationship. And yeah, okay, maybe it's not the strongest relationship in your opinion, but they do spend a lot of time. They spend like 40 minutes on it, which is much longer than you would think an hour and a half film would do. That's supposed to be an action film. Literally after the first chase sequence, the rest of the film until the pawn shop robbery is all about developing the relationship between the driver, Carey Mulligan, and Benicio. And that's like, you know, a solid 53 minutes into the movie where we get the pawn shop robbery. So, I mean, they spend time, and some people may say that's slow. A lot of people have said, you know, it's too slow, we gotta get to it. But I love that. And I think there is an element that's so well done that when the actual violence starts to occur, when she gets her head blown off with a shotgun, it's so shocking and it's so disturbing. I remember the first time I watched that scene, I was like watching on my computer at my school and was like, what the heck just happened? I remember going into this film and watching like the first hour and being like, why is this rated R? This is a very chill film. And then slow motion, head getting ripped off with a shotgun, and I was like, what is happening? There's only 40 minutes left of the film. But yeah, I think it's a really great screenplay. It's simple, but it gets the job done, and I think there's some great dialogue. I gave it 7 out of 8.
I gave it the 6% out of 8. Very solid screenplay. Let's move in to soundtrack out of 7%. This is one of our first, I guess, original, like, soundtracks, but created by an artist, if that makes sense, I guess. Like, they got a band, or I guess a guy, Cliff Martinez, to do the soundtrack, but he also makes music. And aside from 2 hits, you know, this is... all these songs are original, and they're all very... they're very fitting to the tone of the 2, you know, main theme songs, which is like A Real Hero, which I think they played twice, which is a great song. Love that song.
And Night Call, classic Night Call.
Yeah.
Also, Oh My Love, which is played during the whole Nino killing sequence. I mean, I don't know. The soundtrack in this film is just... it's awesome. It's like Good Time Uncut Gem vibes, you know? It's very electronic synth, 80s pop sounding.
It totally reminds me of Good Time. Well, I guess Good Time reminds me of this. And yeah, it's great. I wouldn't, personally, synth pop, not my genre. I wouldn't listen to it, but I think it totally fits the sort of feminine edge-ish, if you, I can't even really call it that, but the more laid-back action aesthetic of this film fits it great beats, and it really just matches those nighttime shots of the very colorful Los Angeles skyline. Ryan Gosling driving through fits perfectly. So yeah.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite soundtracks. We're talking about the Baby Driver soundtrack, but I've listened to the soundtrack way more times than the Baby Driver soundtrack. It's like, it's the kind of soundtrack that I want to blast in my car as I'm driving, like at night. Like, it's just one of those vibes, you know. And the theme song, A Real Hero, it's like every time I hear it, it like hits me emotionally. I mean, a lot of these songs, yes, I wouldn't listen. I agree with you. I wouldn't listen to synth pop just like on a daily basis. It's not my favorite genre by any means, but these songs just remind me of Drive, and therefore I love listening to them.
Yeah.
So 7 out of 7.
I gave it 6%. What you know what Baby Driver has on it though? You know that one scene in Baby Driver where he does like the cassette remix of Was He Slow? That's some funny stuff right there. That's good. Was he slow? You know, because they're like, oh, he's got all these tapes. He's taping our, you know, he's recording our conversations, and then it's just like, nah, he's making a remix out of you. All right.
Production design, costumes and set. Got some really great colors.
Yeah, and I think the costumes, like we were mentioning earlier with his scorpion jacket, that he, it's a great costume. I think Carey Mulligan has good costumes. Costumes are solid all around. This is a lower budget film, so they had to shoot on location a lot. And I think that the apartments, very solid. I actually really like the wallpaper, very cinematic wallpaper in those apartments. And really overall, the set decoration, especially in the garage, is good. Nothing about this production design is crazy to me. But I think that overall they nailed what they needed to do. And all the sets are well decorated. The costumes are solid. It's very impressive production design for a smaller budget film with big names that they had to spend a lot of money on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really like the colors in this film, like the garage and all of that stuff. You got some really cool tone. The costumes are awesome. I like the added idea of having the driver always like chewing on a toothpick. Like there's just something that adds so much to his character with that. Dude, I went through a phase in grade 8 where I would chew on toothpicks because of this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Should I start wearing a red pom-pommed beanie and a Speedo for Life Aquatic? Get a Team Z. You know what is actually crazy? They released limited edition Adidas Stan Smiths with the Z. You know how they all have the Ziso shoes? Adidas literally released a shoe, like the Ziso shoe. And they sell for so much. Like, it's crazy. It's like $500, but I so
mine's
badly
cheaper.
want a pair.
It's just toothpick. I just need a toothpick.
Yeah, no.
You can chew on it. I still do that sometimes. I don't know. It makes me feel cool. Makes me feel like I'm a getaway driver.
Just in the Mazda CX-3, design... toothpick in, synth pop blasting. Here we go.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna just like go for a night drive, blasting the Drive soundtrack with the toothpick in my mouth.
Hell
yeah. I think the production design is very solid. It's well developed. I love like the practical lighting that's used in the interior scenes, and 5 out of 6. Nothing to really bring it down, but nothing to give it that full marks.
Yeah. Location selection out of 6. I think that location selection, beautiful locations.
Beautiful.
I think
beautiful.
That
I've been noticing, besides like Atonement, indie films seem to be doing a little better with location selection than our big budget films. And I think
for sure.
a main reason for that is that they don't have the money to do big productions, so they have to rely on really awesome locations. The Los Angeles night sky in this film, it's just so good. You get so much bokeh. The Chinese restaurant, the garage, his hotel,
the beach,
basically all of the streets, the beach. Oh, the beach!
Man. I think that the streets in general, they didn't have to do too much because it's just you go to nighttime, you have lights everywhere. It's Los Angeles. One in particular, maybe somewhat as a reference to Greece, maybe the LA River, where they take their little afternoon.
Yeah, spin. And that little lake, the little pond that they're hanging out at.
Yeah, solid location. Also, I think it's funny, probably on purpose, is that's the scene of the car race in the musical Grease.
Yeah.
So, little callback there. And overall, I just think the locations are pretty amazing throughout this whole film. Uh, I'm so conflicted on this one because I don't know if I can give it the full marks. Like, I I don't know. It's like on the
Why?
cusp for me.
Bro, it's full marks for me. It's like sick locations. They're all awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough variety, like enough different locations even.
Dude, that beach in itself puts it top locations for me.
The beach where they, yeah, but like even like a movie like Fear and Loathing, they have a beach scene almost the exact same. They drive a car onto the beach, big waves, nighttime. I don't know. I'll give it the 6. You make a convincing argument.
There we go.
I think it's very, very solid location selection. Not one location in particular I don't think is like the most beautiful particularly. I think that the cinematography style of this film really lends itself to a city with a lot of light at night because it allows for that colorful bokeh to make, any street look like that. But you gotta give credit to them. Indie films do be out here being beautiful. So yeah,
Yes.
6%.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we will hop into the final half of the review.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
Back
Hopping
at
into
it.
cinematography out of 10. I think the cinematography in this film is very beautiful. It
Yeah.
really uses lighting as a very key aspect to this film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just that elevator scene, dude. When it goes slow motion, he pulls her aside and kisses her. The lights go into that golden California lighting that you see in that car sequence and all the sequences with him and Irene, and then it just goes back to reality and he bashes that guy's head in. I mean, there's just so many aspects of lighting in this film that's just beautiful and very it has a lot of symbolism involved with it, a lot of shadows, and just I love that bokeh. Lots of really nice colorful bokeh.
Nice bokeh. It's got that nighttime city aesthetic. I do, I try not to give too many points for drone shots because it's very easy to get a drone shot and they always look sick. But I mean, these drone shots are sick, as expected. I think the car chases are filmed amazingly. It's very tight on the cars. Really, I mean, the lighting in this film, as you were saying, is amazing, especially the blocking. And I know we talked about the blocking from that audience question, but that one shot after he's killed both the people in the hotel and he like the way he leans around in the bathroom to get the light to perfectly hit different parts of his face. Great shot. I mean, it honestly, it's beautiful throughout. There's very memorable shots throughout. I love the look of this film. It's got a great aesthetic, beautiful.
Also
nice
has some
bokeh.
great dolly shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like tracking them in that wide dolly shots. And dude, that shot, I will never get over that shot of him looking into that pizzeria with that song playing in the background. That shot just gives me chills every time I see it.
I guess that is the one thing, though. If I could ask anything more of the cinematography, maybe more tracking shots, I guess. I mean, like maybe film a car chase without as many cuts, maybe. I don't even know. Like, there's not much you can ask from this film.
Yeah, I think it's really well done, especially for the budget that they had, being able to do some really awesome sequences. Not quite full marks for me, but 9 out of 10, solid 9 out of 10 for me for cinematography.
Yeah, I gave it the 9 as well. it honestly, it's just not quite, I guess, creatively motived, maybe, to get the full marks.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not quite the 10. Editing, though, out of 8%, very, very good editing in this film. There's some great parallel editing, like in the last scene. The sound design is great.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the fast-paced nature of this film works because at the end of the day, it is a crime action thriller. There's a few fade transitions, but they're not the worst.
They're also long. Like I was saying before, you gotta use the long. Don't do quick fade transitions, and the transitions in this film are very long. They
very long.
You see his face,
and
fade
that excuses it. Maybe one too many, but I'm not that mad at them. In fact, I'm not really mad at them at all. I think me hating fade transitions is over exaggerated for this podcast. But yeah, overall editing extremely solid. I love the fast-paced nature of it. They just cut. They didn't try to make
also
this
the
too long.
sound editing, dude.
Yeah,
the sound
I mean it got
editing.
an Oscar. It's only Oscar nom.
Got an Oscar nomination and lost to Hugo. Like I love
for
Hugo,
sound mixing.
but how did it lose to Hugo for sound mixing?
Well,
dude?
I mean Hugo has a lot more going on, I guess, with all the train stuff, in terms of mixing.
I mean, yeah. I guess that's true. I don't know, dude. The sounds in this film, though, are just...
That was back when they had sound mixing and sound editing. And
yeah.
I guess sound mixing is such a weird category for film. It's weird because sound mixing is not very creatively driven. Sound mixing is all about getting the levels of everything to sound cohesive. I don't know how you get an Oscar for that. I like what they've done now.
I mean, it's hard work.
Sound. It is hard work. I just give it out at the Academy Award for Science, I don't think you should have the same award if you are Joaquin Phoenix or a sound engineer. But I like what they did now at the best sound. But yeah, this movie's better than Hugo for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What'd you give it?
7% out of 8. I really love the editing in this film. Sound mixing is great, obviously. Love the fast-paced style of it. And I think action movies in general are going to benefit in this category. Like the first scene in particular, the beginning, to me, is edited freaking masterfully.
Yeah. Same. Give it 7 out of 8. It's very high 7 for me, but 7 out of 8. Just really fast paced. Keeping it, an hour and 35 minutes is a hard thing to do. And the sound is awesome.
Yeah.
But let's move into acting out of 10.
I absolutely love the cast and the performances in this film. And I guess in particular, I love Albert Brooks. I don't know. Albert Brooks is so iconic. And I think he just has such a great deadpan delivery in this film. At first, you're introduced to him.
This is like such a weird role for him too.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not a role you would expect him to be.
Yeah,
playing.
It's funny because in Taxi Driver, which is so dark, he's like the one not dark character. He's like the only...
Yeah, and he's known for like rom-coms and The Simpsons, and as I was saying, he plays I forget the name of the character.
Martin.
Nemo's dad in Finding Nemo. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's like... He always plays like the sweet grandpa or dad. And now he's playing, this ruthless murderer.
Ruthless Jew.
And he does it beautifully.
Yeah, great performance. I mean, it's weird because Carey Mulligan and Ryan Gosling, they don't have any, I guess, extremely dramatic moments. I mean, Ryan Gosling has some very intense moments, but they don't have that Oscar bait, dramatic monologue, big breakdown or anything. It's very subtle, but it's still great performances out of these two, the two leads, I guess.
It's all in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the fact that you have a character who is very shy, very lonely, who doesn't speak much, and yet you get an emotional connection with him without the overuse of dialogue.
Yeah.
This film's kind of a masterclass in visual storytelling because it's not using dialogue or narration or anything for that matter to really tell you about the story, to tell you anything. You have to use your eyes, and this is a very visual movie. You have to read the characters' expressions to really grasp who they are and grasp where the story's going.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that comes from some really great performances.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Benicio, kid actor?
I actually don't mind him. Obviously, he's not amazing. He's a child actor, but I think he's very adorable. He's very sweet. He doesn't have a lot to do, which is good.
Whenever he's like that part where he's on the phone, it's child acting shades coming through. But like the shark stuff, I think that's pretty goddamn good acting for a kid.
It feels natural. It feels like they kind of just set up the camera and let him and Ryan Gosling talk for a bit, and then it feels natural. It doesn't feel forced. I think it's a pretty good performance for a child actor.
Yeah. I gave acting overall. I gave it a 9%, high 9, but to me, not any one of the performances was like outstanding enough for me to give it the 10%. But it is extremely solid performances all across the board. Just not really one to me stood out as being like an incredible, memorable performance, I guess. 9% though, very, very good acting in this film.
Yeah, I agree. I also gave it the 9%. Just, you don't have that thing to bring it over the top.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like, I'm not mad at it for not having a super dramatic performance. But sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes, I don't think this film needs it, but to get the 10%, you gotta have a heartfelt breakdown or something,
Yeah.
All right, let's move into entertainment value out of 10%.
Entertainment value. Once again, people say this movie is slow. I say
what? This film's like
away.
the opposite of slow.
Dude,
this film
read
is
audience reviews.
fast-paced.
No, everyone says nothing happens in this movie, which is, I mean, it's true. Nothing happens for the first hour. But, like, who cares? I don't care.
It's so fast-paced that Ryan Gosling basically falls in love with Carey Mulligan and sacrifices the rest of his life for her in, like, a week.
Yeah, well, no. We're assuming that through the montage, it's probably been, a few months. But
the montage where they're driving on the river and then he takes her.
Yeah. No, later. They have montages of them driving at night, like, every night together. So it's like this long...
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, they do spend, as I said, 53 minutes on that relationship before any actual action happens.
Mm-hmm.
But when the action happens, you have crazy violence that is happening all the time in, like, every other scene. You got, like, the elevator scene, the shotgun. You got Bernie stabbing Cook in the pizzeria.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some brutal killings in this film. And I think that makes up for it. And honestly, this film's just... I love every aspect of this film. I've watched it 4 times. And I think this was my favorite viewing of it, of all the times I've seen it. And this was my 4th time watching it.
Damn.
And I was just so riveted. Even more so than I usually am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it a 9% out of 10. I think that this is a very fast-paced movie. The crime stuff is enthralling, and it's just beautiful for the first 40 minutes. There's something to enjoy out of every scene. Even if, I had really recent... Like, this is my second time watching it in 4 months, I guess. So I basically, like, I could pretty much have told you exactly scene for scene what was going to happen. So I could just really look at the cinematography and stuff this viewing, and it was still, an entertaining hour and a half. 9% for sure.
Yeah. Also a 9, very high. I was debating the 10, but I was like, it's not quite there yet. We're not quite there, able to give a movie a 10. But yeah, it's a very high 9 for me. Once again, it's my third favorite film of all time. I've seen it 4 times. I can see myself rewatching this film many, many more times.
So would La La Land be a
Very high
10
note.
for you? Would La La Land be a 10?
Oh yeah. It would probably be like an 11, bro. I've seen it like 12 times.
Fair enough. I don't know what film I've seen more times than anything else. It's probably something
How many
stupid.
times have you seen The Life Aquatic?
Only like 5 times or 6 times. Maybe like...
You give The Life Aquatic a 10. I remember that.
Yeah, well, I do love The
Yeah.
Life Aquatic. I've seen it 6 times, but the thing is, the first time I saw The Life Aquatic was only like 2 years ago. It was in like the end of grade 9, maybe. So I've seen it, multiple times since then.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen The Big Lebowski more than The Life Aquatic. I could quote most of The Big Lebowski. I've seen that one a lot.
Okay. Overall technical achievement.
Yeah.
This was an easy one for me. I mean, looking at my scores,
Easy
looking
14.
at the quality of this film. Easy 14. Not much else to say except the technical achievement is very solid in this film, and it's just of a higher grade than the 13s we've been giving.
Yeah, for sure.
Easy 14.
Almost full marks on cinematography, almost full marks on editing, Oscar nom for sound mixing. This is easy 14%. Technically, let's tally up our reviews, spin the wheel for next week, go to our 29th film.
Okay, and we are back at it.
Yep.
We have tallied up our scores.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what Drive averages out to.
All right. I gave Drive an 89% overall. Very, very solid film. One of my favorites. Definitely on my list. Everybody should check this one out. It's a very good film. Short. Doesn't waste your time.
It's on Prime Video.
Yeah, it's very solid. There's no one aspect that's bad at all to this film. And if you're into Ryan Gosling, you want to dig into his catalog, check this one out for sure.
I would highly suggest to dig into Ryan Gosling's catalog for anyone out there, because I've seen most of his films, and man has done some excellent films.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Drive is my favorite movie we have done so far on the podcast, so I think it's fitting. That is my highest score so far for the podcast. I give Drive a 93%. My first highest. That's my highest. Surpassing Children of Men by 0.5%.
Yeah. And
yeah,
that averages
so that
out.
averages out to a 91, right?
Yeah, 91. Which actually puts it
91%.
at the number 2 spot of every film we've done so far.
Right
above Eternal
below
Sunshine.
Children of Men.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I think Children of Men is the highest score I've given so far.
Yeah, you gave Children of Men 93.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the only thing that separated us was acting, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you gave the 0.5 for technical. Yeah, Drive, great film. One of Lucas's favorites, up there for me. I think it's my fourth favorite film we've looked at so far. Maybe, yeah. Okay, yeah, fourth highest.
Yeah,
no.
well,
no,
91.
fifth or
So
sixth. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Drive is in second place for our rankings. Only
Now our top 10 is looking extra solid.
Oh yeah. That
when
means
Parasite's not in the top 10.
has been dropped out of the top 10, sadly. And The Shape of Water is on the brink of falling off. But yeah, you know what? Let's spin the wheel. Let's see what we get for next week. Yeah, I have no preferences this week. I just want to see what we land on. See what happens.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever as well. I'm open. Let's see.
Okay, new screen recording. Let's turn up the volume. And we are spinning in 3, 2, 1. Oh shoot, my earphones are on. Hold up. We need
Hold
volume.
up. Technical difficulties.
We need volume.
After we spin the wheel this week, Lady Bird will be going on the list. In the meantime,
Lady Bird.
classic. A24 classic.
Nice comedy. We need some comedies on the wheel.
Yeah, it's a nice film. I like Lady Bird. It's short.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, and we are now spinning in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. Cool. We have landed on Bottle Rocket.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. You know how long I've been trying to convince Lucas to watch Bottle Rocket? Too long. Bottle Rocket has a goddamn special place in my heart. It's like probably one of my favorite indie films of all time. It's my 6th favorite movie of all time. Yeah, I mean, this is early Wes Anderson. I think this is gonna be very hit or miss with Lucas. I don't know. There's something about the charm of the characters in this film just makes a special place in my heart. It's not the most technically impressive at all. It's any time early in a director's career, they haven't figured out their style yet. But I love Bottle Rocket. I don't think I can score it that high, man. Like this film isn't built to be ranked on its like technical aspects. Yeah, I'm really excited to rewatch this. Excited to review it, and that'll be our 29th film.
29th film. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Drive, and we'll see you next Monday with Bottle Rocket.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Slightly Qualified Film Students.
Make sure to tune in next week for a new film discussion and review.
Our theme song is Slightly Sexy by Thompson Springs.
Make sure to subscribe and leave us a like.
Send us feedback and comments as well as your thoughts on the film. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at S_Q_F_S.
If you would like to send us a question or a comment for next week's episode, you can email us at sqfilmstudents@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.